Hello, we're in a different corner of my music room today, and we're looking at one of the records that's in my vinyl collection. I can't help it, I'm stuck in the 70s and 80s really, with my musical taste. Still crazy after all these years, and it's by Paul Simon. Paul Simon, who had hits as one member of Simon and Garfunkel in the 60s and went on to have a very successful solo career in the 70s and 80s. This was from 1975, and I get the feeling that it's a divorced or a just divorced record, rather cynical from Paul Simon really. He's tends to be rather twee. Things like 59th Street Bridge Song and Cloudy and songs like that from the Simon and Garfunkel years are rather sort of twee and, you know, lightweight, whereas this is really quite heavy stuff, and me being quite a heavy person really, I'm into heavy stuff. I think it's Paul Weller who sang on one of his songs, I'm Only Sad in a Natural Way, and I think this is that sort of album really. So why is it such a good album? Well, firstly, it's very well recorded. It has a huge dynamic range, and even the digital download from iTunes preserves some of that dynamic range. So if you haven't got a vinyl player, then don't worry, you'll still hear, you'll still get an idea of what the quality is like. And it's got some beautiful, beautiful songs on it. Mainly it's a ballady sort of album. It represents what it is like to be human. If we look at, you know, the title track, Still Crazy After All These Years, we have Paul Simon, who's just bumped into his ex on the street and is just reminiscing really. He's saying, is it best to move on? Or, you know, would I be better off back with my ex-missus? Well, he basically is saying that probably he was stupid to break up with her. I think that's the still crazy bit. But he says at the end, I wouldn't be convicted by a jury of my peers. In other words, I'm just as stupid as everybody else, just as crazy as everybody else really, in that I'm pass up old opportunities. There's an absolutely amazing saxophone solo on there which just brings tears to the eyes. Absolutely lovely. My Little Town is a duet with Simon and Garfunkel. I think it's the only documented time since the Simon and Garfunkel years that they actually recorded new material together. I could be wrong on that, so if I am, please correct me. My Little Town, I suppose everyone feels that the place that they live in is a hole, and that you want to get out of it, and this song is basically expressing that really. I Do It For Your Love, another sort of, I suppose, ex-divorce song really. In other words, how beautiful romance started out, but how it soon sours. And the middle eight where he says, I found a rug in an old junk shop and brought it home to you, is the most beautiful, beautiful melody there. But it soon changes. Along the way, the colours ran, the orange bled the blue, and the melody also reflects how cynical and he's become about that relationship. And by the end, love emerges and it disappears. I do it for your love, I do it for your love. And 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover has a good drum beat on it. That's the next track on here, track number 4. Devised, I believe, by the jazz drummer Steve Gadd, who plays on this album. The chorus is very catchy, but it's the verses really that express how low the singer or the character in this song's become. Really, he's basically just hooked up with some woman just to try and sort of, I suppose, prove that he's still worth touching and sort of, I suppose, being in love with. Night Game is probably my least favourite on the album. It's track number 5, and it's, I don't know, I don't really know very much about the ball game, as some Americans would call it, so I don't really know what his point he's making is here. The best one for me is on side 2, because records are black things and they have 2 sides, and in the olden days, the good old days, they used to try and put a catchy song at the beginning and end of each side. With CDs, that practice tends to have disappeared, and you might get quite a sort of punchy opener and quite a good ending number, and the rest is fodder in the middle. Well, with a record you couldn't really do that. If a record was worth listening to, it at least had 4 good tracks on it. And Gone at Last, in my opinion, is the best one. It's a gospel number, and it's basically got this fantastic piano on it. And if you want to know what dynamic range really is, then listen to that piano. It actually expresses volume range. In my Winner Takes It All video, I spoke about the piano line and how the writer of a book on studio recording said that less is more. Well, that is normally true, but this, you've got a full whack piano playing along with a band and with a gospel choir, and the effect is absolutely stunning. Then we come to another really poignant track called Some Folks' Lives Roll Easy. Some lovely falsetto singing right at the very end. And basically, Some Folks' Lives Roll Easy, but I think he really doesn't believe that. And I don't believe anyone's lives roll that easy, really. So the final chorus, some folks' lives roll easy, and some folks' lives never roll at all. Well, that's all of us. And then he shoots up to his highest notes for they just fall, some folks' lives. Never really associated Paul Simon. Yeah, he's a good songwriter, a good lyricist, but never really, until I heard this album, did I realise what a lovely singer he is and what a strong voice he has. Have a Good Time, Cynical About the News, I think, one of the singles from the LP, I also think. Your Kind is, I suppose, again, Paul Simon expressing humanity at its real base lowest. You have this lovely sort of bumpy dumpy dumpy sort of shuffly rhythm going to this, and you think, well, this is going to start off as a nice kitsch song about, you know, how I've met the woman that I love and how it's all beautiful and so on and so forth, until at the end he just proves that he's a bastard, really, because I mean, you know, he's saying that, you know, I'm going to leave you now, and here's the reason why. I like to sleep with the window open and you keep the window closed, so goodbye. You know, and this person cannot bear kindness, and because of that, it's kindness is stifling, and he's got to get out of it, really. The Silent Eyes, 1975 was the 30th anniversary of the ending of the Second World War, and this, I think he's talking about the Holocaust. Silent eyes watching Jerusalem make her bed of stones. Silent eyes, no one will comfort her. Jerusalem weeps alone. She is sorrow, sorrow. She burns like a flame, and she calls my name. Silent eyes burning in the desert sun, halfway to Jerusalem, and we shall all be called as witnesses, each and every one, to stand before the eyes of God and speak what was done.